Let's do a one and a two, actually. Drop a one in the chat if you've listened to Diseases of Attitude by Jim Rohn. Drop a two in the chat if you've never heard that before. No way. Y'all have never. That's crazy. Really? That's why I'm genuinely surprised. Okay. Well, I'm gonna put y'all on today then. This is I pulled it up. This is like one of my favorite audios. It's one of the most classic audios in personal growth. And I love books, but sometimes I'd be like super busy, so I like audios. Diseases of Attitude is one of the most classic audios. And he just talks about how most people have, a negative attitude and how that affects their business, their life. And I'm going to share some of the things from that audio, but I'm also going to share some things that, I see from my perspective as well and do a little bit of both. But yeah, for those of y'all that dropped a two, y'all got to listen to this, tomorrow, like as quickly as you can, because this is, yeah, it's a really, really good one. But you guys have heard this before, I'm sure. And if you haven't, your attitude determines your altitude. How high you go, how far you go, how fast you go in Gifu is going to be determined by your attitude, the way that you think, the way that you feel, the way that you act. And, we're going to talk about the diseases of attitude, right? The things that a lot of people, you know, the attitude that a lot of people have that is holding them back. And, most people don't even know that they're doing it. Most people are thinking the same thoughts, feeling the same emotions, taking the same actions, getting the same result, and secretly wishing for something to change. Nothing's going to change unless you change your attitude, right? So let's talk about it. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to jump into some of these things. So, one second, guys. All right. Okay. So, number one, guys, in no particular order, but number one, we're going to talk about procrastination and indecision. Indecision. Let's be honest here. Drop a 111 in the chat if you've dealt with, procrastination before. You know what you need to do, but you're just not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Or you're just indecisive. You're like, yo, should I do this? Should you do that? And then you end up doing nothing at all. And, you know, what's the opposite of that? The opposite of indecision, the opposite of procrastination is action. You know, people are waiting for 100% clarity to take action, but action comes. Clarity comes after you take action. So what do I mean? What I mean is, you know, you might when people are brand new, when they come into trading, they're like, yo, a lot of them are scared because they don't know what they don't know. And then, because they've never done this before, and then they procrastinate on it, and then they never actually do it. And then what happens? They just end up, falling off. Versus the people who take action and then they learn a little bit and they're like, okay, I actually kind of understand a little bit. And then they take more action and then eventually you just get what? You get clarity and you understand what you're doing, right? So my best piece of advice for everybody here is just you just want to take massive action every single day. Even if you're not fully 100% sure, if you're doing things right, if you are, when I was demo trading in the beginning, I took a million trades. I took as many trades as I possibly can. When I started to create content, I knew I was terrible, but I created as much content as I possibly could because I understood that, like the learning's in the doing. I'm only going to get better by taking action. And so I don't know why, but most people, they'll just wait and wait and wait and wait. And here's the problem. The longer you wait to do what you should do, the higher the probability you're not going to do it. Later typically turns into never. How many times have you said, this year's going to be my year? Or, how many times have you said tomorrow, 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 and then it just turns into next week, next month, next year and it never actually happens at all. And so it's okay if you're not if you don't have 100% clarity on what you're supposed to be doing or if you're doing things right. And that's how entrepreneurship works. You just figure it out along the way. I'm gonna mess up this quote completely, but they say entrepreneurship is like you jump out of a plane and you build a parachute on the way down and you just figure it out. That's how it is, right? So don't be procrastinating. Make sure that you're taking as much action as you possibly can. And the next step will reveal itself to you, meaning if you don't see the top of the mountain, but you start taking steps up the mountain, eventually you'll see higher, you'll see further, and you'll see what you need to do next. Same thing. If you start taking action on whatever it is, the next step will become clear. But people don't want to take any step at all because they don't see a direct path to the top. That's not how entrepreneurship works. And then with indecision, just decide and go because even if you make the wrong decision, it's better than not making a decision and not doing anything. I would rather do the wrong thing, but at least I tried. I tried something, right? And now I know what not to do next time. But if you're just sitting there, not taking any action, not making any decisions, then where's that going to leave you? If you've been procrastinating for the last week, month, 6 months, do you know how much you can accomplish in 1 month in GFood? Do you know how much you can accomplish in 90 days? Do you know how much you can accomplish in 6 months? Like, could you imagine letting another 6 months go by and you being in the same spot today? Right? So that's disease number one, procrastination and indecision. So number two, I have overthinking, overthinking, overcomplicating, whatever you want to call it, versus simplicity. You know, I came to the realization that success is very, very simple. It doesn't matter what you're doing. We could talk about getting in great shape. All you got to do is go to the gym, work out, eat a little bit healthier. It's not rocket science. If you're not succeeding in what we do, it's probably because you're overcomplicating it. If you're struggling when it comes to trading, maybe it's because you're trying to overcomplicate the strategy. We told you exactly what to do, and then you're trying to just do your own thing. And it's like, why are you doing that? If you have a proven system that is already working, just follow the system, right? When it comes to, the business side of things, people are overthinking all the time. They're like, yo, like, should I post this? Should I do that? And it's like, dude, it's simple. Just follow the system, do what other people are doing. If you are not having success, that's fine, but the reality is it's usually because you're overthinking. You're overcomplicating it. If you just do it, then you're going to get the results. This goes back to the action principle we talked about earlier, like just keep things super simple. Um, And so I suffer from this a lot. I be overthinking, you know, and just thinking about all the things that, might go wrong or, am I doing this correctly? Or what if this happens? What if that happens? Dude, success is super, super simple. I can't give you a better analogy than the gym analogy. Like, if you want to get into great shape, go to the gym, eat healthy. There you go. You want to make a full-time income online? I mean, we give you the DMOs. We give you the daily methods of operation. We tell you exactly what you need to do. All you have to do is just actually do it. So that is number two. Number three is doubt, worry, fear. The opposite of that would be faith. Both fear and faith demand you to believe in something that is not real, to believe in something that is not actually there. It takes just as much energy to think that, okay, this isn't going to work for me, this isn't going to happen to me, as it does to believe that it's possible for you. How do you see success story after success story after success story? We're going to go to Portugal in a couple months, and you're going to see thousands of people that are doing this part-time, full-time, six figures, seven figures, whatever level of success that you want to hit. And you're going to see thousands of people cross a stage and get recognized and say, I don't know if it's possible for me. I've always had the belief system that, yo, if God can do it for them, why can't he do it for me? So you have to have faith. When I was living paycheck to paycheck, working at a job that I absolutely hated, in an environment that was not conducive for my growth, I had to have faith. I had to say, hey, I'm going to choose to believe. I'm going to be, a little bit delusional here and say, hey, like it's possible, you know? And if I did not genuinely believe that, then I wouldn't have taken the actions necessary to get to where it is that I got to. And so you have to that no matter what happens, I don't care. I don't care what's happened up until this point because people will say, well, yo, you don't understand what I've been through. You don't understand what's happened to me. Let me ask you a question. Does the past have anything to do with what's going to happen into the future? Absolutely not. I don't care what's happened to you, right? I don't care what you've gone through. The reality is that anything that's happened has nothing to do with what you're going to do now and what's going to happen in the future. And if you just let that stuff go, automatically you'll get to that next level. So, but you have to have faith. You have to I love the quote from Steve Jobs. He said that you can't connect the dots looking forward, you can only connect them looking backwards, you know. I 99% of people on this call, I didn't know any of you guys when I got started in this. 99% of people on this call, I did not know you before I started in this business, in this industry. I met you guys afterwards, right? So imagine, back then, if I said, okay, well, I'm not gonna like, now I can look back and see like what's happened and how we've done it. But in the beginning, I had to have what? I had to have faith. And if you have faith and you take action behind it, faith without works is what, right? That's going to bridge the gap from where you are to where it is that you want to go. Next, we have uncoachability versus coachable. Every successful person that I know, I'm not talking six figures, I'm talking seven or beyond. They have a coach, they have a mentor, they have somebody who's giving them accountability, somebody who's, been farther than them, telling them what they need to do to get to that next level. And for some reason, people have a hard time being coachable. People have a hard time listening to other people, right? Why is that? Usually it's because they have an ego. They're like, dude, I want to do things my own way. I remember a mentor saying, he said, yo, your way isn't working. Why don't you try mine? He's like, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. If I'm not having the results that I want to have, then maybe I'm doing something wrong. If I'm not financially free, then maybe I should listen to someone who's financially free, right? And the craziest part is that in this business, you can't level up unless you help your team what? Level up. So the people who are helping you, they're never going to give you bad advice. They're only going to tell you things that are going to help you. They're never going to tell you anything that's going to hurt you. And here you are trying to just do it by yourself, figure it out yourself, and just do your own thing because you don't want to listen to somebody. I had to, humble myself and say, whatever, like I want to learn from your mistakes. You know what I mean? I want to, uh, you know, get to where you are way faster, right? And so, you can learn from your own mistakes, you can learn from other people's mistakes, right? I'm gonna do both. But do you have someone that, you're checking in with, worst case scenario, at least on a weekly basis? It could be a little bit more often, but it could be not as often depending on the situation, but generally every single week, making sure that you're learning, you're growing, you're leveling up. But most importantly, you're actually taking action on the information that they gave you because there's nothing more. annoying than like trying to help somebody and then like you come back a week later and they haven't, you gave them advice, you told them exactly what they need to do next, and then they haven't done anything at all. So that's number four. Number five, what do we got? We got complaining. It blows my mind how much people complain sometimes. I'm like, yo, like people have it so good, they have no idea. And you know, sometimes people will be complaining about, you know, what it is that we do, and I'm like, you know that we don't have to be here, we get to be here, right? These calls, like we don't have to do these calls. Like, like we don't have to run these events. We don't have to, it's just people typically have it so good and they don't even realize it. And that's because it's just like whatever you focus on grows. If you're focused on, where you've been, if you're focused on the past, if you're focused on the negative things that have happened to you, if you focused on your current situation, then yeah, that makes sense. Probably be complaining all the time. But if you're focused on the things that you're grateful for, if you're focused on, you know, I don't care, how bad you think you have something that you could be grateful for, and whatever you focus on grows. If you're focused on the things that you have rather than what you don't, if you're, focused on the people that you're grateful for, the opportunities, the things that you have, the fact that you're breathing, the fact that, God woke you up another day, you got another opportunity, then what's that going to do when you are operating from that energy? When you're operating from that place, you're going to think different, you're going to feel different, you're going to act different, you're going to walk different, you're going to talk different. Because who wants to be around someone who's complaining all the time? And so, are things going to happen to you? Yes, absolutely. You're going to go through some tough times. Things are going to happen. But you know what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to sit here, complain about it. I'm going to just make the best out of the situation, whatever the situation is. So, next we have excuses versus 100% responsibility. Most people make way too many excuses, right? And, you know, people blame their friends, people blame their parents, people blame their kids, people blame their business partner, people blame their mentor for their result or for their lack of results. And the moment you blame anybody besides yourself, you take away power from the one person who has the ability to change your life, which is yourself. But the moment that you say, I am 100% responsible for everything bad and good that's happened to me up until this point, then you have the ability to change. You have the ability to change, to learn, to grow, to get better. But up until that point, every time you make an excuse, every time you say, oh, well, it's because this happened. Oh, let me blame that person. I'm going to say it again. You take away power from the one person who has the ability to change your life, which is yourself. It's easy to take responsibility for the good things that have happened to you, for the accomplishments that you've made, for the people that you've helped. But are you taking responsibility for all the terrible things that have happened, right? And so you could have a legitimate excuse. It could be like a good excuse and that'll hold you back. I don't care what happens to me, right? I'm not going to make an excuse. I'm not I don't care how bad something was. I'm not going to let that hold me back. It might slow me down 1%, but it's not going to hold me back. That's for sure. Because yeah, life's going to happen. You're going to have some crazy stuff happen, you know. During your entrepreneurship journey. You're going to have the highest of highs. You're also going to have some very, very low lows. And so, for me, I always just accept my situation so I can move on from my situation, no matter how good it is, no matter how bad it is. But one thing you're not going to catch me doing is make excuses. If I do something wrong, then or if something happens, I'm taking 100% responsibility because if not, then you're basically saying, hey, my success is outside of my control. And whatever happens to me happens to me. I have no ability to influence the results in my life. That's what you're saying. Next, let's talk about um let's talk about caring what others think too much.
It's forever.
Okay.
I saw the other
So
day.
that's what we're going to talk about real quick is the number one thing that I see hold people back is they care way too much what other people think about them. And it might be friends, family, parents, best friend, cousin, brother, sister, doesn't matter. But the reality is that other people's opinions, they're not going to pay your bills, you know? But obviously in entrepreneurship, we're observing the masses and we're doing the opposite. We're doing something completely different. So of course, most people aren't going to understand. Most people aren't going to see your vision. And if you care what other people think, you're not going to make it very far in entrepreneurship. In fact, I'm going to challenge you right now. I want you to think about the people that you look up to, the people that, you see and you look up to them. It could be in business, sports, whatever. They have a lot of people that love them, but also they have a ton of people that hate them. They get a lot of negativity. They get a ton of hate. So for me, if people are not understanding what I'm doing, if people are saying negative things or whatever, that's actually a good sign to me. I'm like, okay, cool, I'm on the right track. What do you want to do? You want to fit in? You want to get the same results as everybody else? You want to be like everybody else? Most people are not happy, not healthy, not wealthy. You want like and you want to just fit in? Like that doesn't make sense. You can't care too much about what other people think because if you do, like I said, that's the biggest thing that holds most people back. Drop a 111 in the chat if you've caught yourself doing this. You're like, man, someone said something and it bothered you a little bit too much, and in your mind, you're like, dude, I really shouldn't let that bother me. Like, who cares what other people think? Is it just me? Am I the only one? Right. So this is your reminder for it's Friday, January 16th. Let's see if you can go 2 weeks. Let's see if you can go for the rest of the month, not caring at all what other people think and just 100% believing in yourself and what's possible for you and knowing that you're a good person with good intentions, with a good opportunity, and who cares what other people think. This one is going to be a little bit trading related, okay? So, we're going to talk about when people are like way too emotional. We're going to talk about fear, greed, revenge trading. You guys have heard me say this a million times, but if you haven't, maybe you're brand new. I see a lot of new people in the chat. The three biggest things that hold people back when it comes to investing and trading is fear, greed, and revenge trading. In a couple weeks, in a couple months, if you're plugging into the actual calls, you're going to be able to read the charts upside down. It's patterns. It's not rocket science. It's patterns, you know? It's stuff that you could teach to, someone in high school, someone in middle school. The charts, that's not the hard part. The hard part is the psychological part. Fear, greed, revenge trading. Fear, you have FOMO, fear of missing out, and then you enter a trade that you shouldn't enter. Greed, you take trades too big for your account size, you blow your account. Revenge trading, you lose a little bit, which is normal and natural, and instead of moving on to the next day, you end up trying to get that money back, and then you end up losing more. What do you think is the answer for these? What's the opposite? Let me know in the chat. What do you feel is the answer You know how like here I did procrastination, indecision versus action, overcomplicating, overthinking versus simplicity. What do you guys think is the opposite of this? Drop it in the chat. And if you don't know, that's okay. Just take a wild guess. No one wants to answer. No one wants to be wrong. Guess what? What did I say, guys? Can't care too much what other people think. Who cares? Just drop the answer. If you're right, you're right. If you're wrong, you're wrong. Who cares? You know what I'm saying? Underthinking? I'm not sure what you mean, Samantha. Trading non-emotionally? Yeah, basically. Thinking less? Yeah, yeah, that's true. Trust? Yeah. All those things are right. But the real answer to this, guys, the answer that I was looking for is just risk management. Because if you're practicing proper risk management, then you're not going to be scared to take a trade because you don't care if you lose because you're risking a small percentage of your account, right? Obviously, you're not going to take a trade too big for your account size because you're risking properly. And you're not going to be, revenge trading because, again, when you lose, you're going to lose a very small percentage of your account. It's not going to bother you. Risk management is the answer to everything when it comes to trading. Meaning, people think trading is risky. The first thing that you learn is you're only risking 1 to 3% of your overall account. So when I see people get way too excited or way too depressed when it comes to trading, it's because they weren't practicing risk management. That's it. Can you guys agree with that? Drop a 222 in the chat if that makes sense. Whenever I'm like, I've seen some people that are way too excited. They're like, dude, I'm quitting my job. I'm like, dude, no, you're not. You just started trading. You don't even know what you're doing yet. You got lucky. You took a trade too big for your account and you got lucky. Or next day they're blowing their account and they're throwing their laptop across the room. They're like, dude, like this doesn't even work. Like blah 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 blah. It's because they just weren't using risk management. That's it. So learn that lesson early. You know what I mean? Next, lazy versus hardworking. One thing that I don't feel sorry for is, people who are just lazy. Because, I mean, I get it. At a job, you could kind of be lazy, right? If I'm getting paid $20 an hour and Bob is getting paid $20 an hour and we're doing the same job and we're getting paid by the hour and it doesn't actually matter if I'm doing anything and I'm just on my computer looking like I'm working, but I'm actually scrolling on social media playing games, but I'm getting paid by the hour, so it doesn't matter. Makes sense. I get it. That's probably why you're getting paid for being lazy. So that makes sense. Entrepreneurship doesn't work like that. In entrepreneurship, you get paid for production. In entrepreneurship, you get paid for results. In entrepreneurship, you get paid for the hard work that you're putting in. So you're not going to get away from that here. I don't care if you've been here for a year, for years. If you're not doing anything, it doesn't matter how long you've been here. There are people that will be here for a month and get 10 times results that of people that have been here for an entire year just because they're hopping on calls, but they're not actually working hard on a daily basis. This is like the number one thing I look for. Um, I have people reach out to me basically every single day. And the number one thing that I'm looking for is like, yo, is this person actually hardworking? Because if they are hardworking, I know for a fact that I can get them plugged into the system and that they're going to get results. But there's absolutely nothing I could do for a lazy person. And if you're finding yourself being kind of lazy, I would ask you to really reevaluate why you're doing this. Like, take hop off this call right now if you have to. Take some time and think like, dude, like, why am I even doing this in the first place? Because me, I have my reasons, right? I always ask people, why are you doing this? But also, who are you doing this for, right? It's easy to give up on yourself. We've done that a million times, but it's impossible to give up on retiring your parents. For me, my baby is doing 4 months from yesterday, right? I have so many different reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's impossible for me to be lazy. So you just got to really reevaluate that, and you have to have an emotionally charged reason why you're doing what you're doing. You're not going to be lazy anymore. The problem is most people are too comfortable. Your job's not that bad. It pays you decently. You're used to it and you don't want to change and you're just comfortable. Thank God I hated my job. Thank God I hated my job. I hated my life. I hated the money I was making. That gave me unlimited motivation to do this every single day, no matter if someone was checking on me or not. Do you think people check on me to see if I'm working every day? Nobody does that. No one hits me up to say, "Hey, like, are you putting in the work today?" Like, you just gotta be a self-starter. You have to be a hard worker in order to get the big results in this platform. Let's talk about slow versus speed. If you've been here for a while, drop in the chat box. Success loves what? Success loves what in the chat box? Speed, facts. Success loves speed. Most people move way too slow. They're just very, I don't know why. They have no sense of urgency. They're doing very slow. There's things that sometimes, not, don't take this the wrong way, but sometimes I'll look at my schedule and I'll be like, wow, I did more in a day than most people, some people will do in a week, some people will do in a month in terms of like for the stuff that we do here in Gifu. And I'm operating with speed. I'm operating with urgency. If there's something that I can get done today, I get it done today. Because here's the thing. The speed of the leader is the speed of the team, right? So however fast I go, or forget about me, however fast you go, that's going to determine how far and how fast everybody goes around you. If people see you going super slow, what do you think that's going to duplicate? In fact, they're probably going to, even if you're going as fast as you can, you know what's crazy? People will still do, they'll still go half as slow as you, right? You could be going a million miles per hour, working as hard as you can, doing all the right things, and people will see you lead by example, and they'll still only do half as much as you. So you got to work twice as much as you want, people around you to also do what you're doing. So let's in 2026, let's operate with urgency this year. Let's get things done this year. It's 2 weeks in to the new year. How much progress have you made? If you're not leveling up every single month, something's wrong. If you're not growing every single month, we could talk about growing your trading account. We could talk about growing your business. We could talk about personal growth in general. If you are not growing, you are dying. People are like, "Oh, another month went by. Who cares?" It's like, dude, like, no. We have to be learning. We have to be growing. We have to be progressing. We have to be, faster. I'm always thinking like, how could I do this faster? How could I get this done faster? Success loves speed. I got a few more. All right. So most people think way too small. Most people think way too small. Now, I heard this quote. I had a mentor. He said, "I would rather have you set a high goal and miss it by a little bit than set a low goal and actually hit it." That's what most people do. They'll either have no goal at all or they'll set a very small goal. And it's like, dude, like, of course you could do that. Why are you setting a goal that's that easy? If you want to get the same results, that's fine. But if you want to, progress, if you want to grow, if you want to get to that next level, you're going to have to think bigger. You're going to have to do things differently. Chances are you're probably thinking way too small. And this goes for me too. When I run these calls, guys, I'm not talking to just you, I'm also talking to myself. Sometimes I'll catch myself and I'll be like, I want to get this done by this point. And then I'm like, what am I thinking? I could for sure do that. Let me let me do that. What if I try to do it in half the time? What happens at that point? One of the best pieces of advice I ever got was think bigger, faster. I don't even remember who told me this. I don't remember where. I think it was a book or an audio or something, but they said think bigger, faster. It's so true. What if you thought about how I can accomplish my 90-day goal in the next 30 days? What if you thought to yourself, if I absolutely had to accomplish my 90-day goal in the next 30 days, what would I do differently? And even if I don't hit it, what can I do to get myself as close as I possibly can? Think bigger, faster. No, I'm not gonna do that one. Let's do this. Most people, when they start in entrepreneurship, they're like, yeah, let me just try it out. I want you guys to think about this. Think about the most successful people that you know. Do any of them have a try it out mentality? Of course not. I've always had the mindset that if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna go all in. Why wouldn't you go all in? The only reason why you wouldn't go all in is maybe because you're scared to fail. My mindset is, who cares if I fail? At least I tried. If I fail here, I'm gonna learn, I'm gonna grow, I'm gonna get better, and I'm gonna take that and apply it elsewhere, and I'm gonna succeed. That's the only reason why. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. What are some other reasons why you wouldn't go all in? Let me know in the chat because maybe I'm wrong. But in my mind, the only reason why you wouldn't want to go all in and put 100% time, effort, energy is because you're scared to fail. I'm not. Who cares? Who cares if you fail? First of all, what does that even mean, right? What does failure even look like to you? But because most people like they'll just fail short term and then they'll end up succeeding long term. So like what does that even mean? But the moment you make that decision to go all in, then you're going to make a way, you're going to find a way. There are way too many people that are already doing it, that are already having success, that are absolutely not special and absolutely not better than you in any way, shape, or form. The only difference between you and them is they made a decision to go all in. One last thing I'll say about that is most people are trying to do too many different things at once. And I get it. Yes, we do want to create multiple sources of income. Yes, that's very, very good. But you also don't want to spread yourself too thin. Again, I want you to think about the most successful people that you know. They went all in, typically on one thing. And then once they got that one thing going, then yes, they diversified into other things. People are like, oh, in order to be a millionaire, I need seven sources of income. Most people that I know that have made millions of dollars, they've had one thing that did really well, and then once they got to that seven-figure level, then they diversified and they have now other sources of income. Don't mistake what they're doing now versus what they did to get there in the first place. Don't spread yourself too thin. Okay, last one, guys. Selfish versus selfless. Most people, they just only think about themselves. care about themselves, and, you know, who wants to be around someone like that? Absolutely nobody. And the opposite is, being a lot more selfless, like actually like caring about other people, helping other people, you know. It's funny when people are like, "Man, I don't want to talk to other people about this because I'm not too confident in the results that I've gotten in this yet." Do you guys know how many people that I talked to in the beginning that ended up having way more success than me? And I was just, scared to talk to them, but I just did it anyways because I knew that this could possibly help them. There were so many people that I was like, man, I don't know. Like, should I talk to this person? Should I not? Like, I'm like, if I think of somebody, then I share the vision with them. If their name enters my mind, I tell them about it. What maybe they do it, maybe they don't. Maybe they succeed, maybe they fail. But here's the thing. If they actually take this seriously, they're going to succeed, number one. Number two, even if they end up quitting and doing something different, every person that I know that ends up this is the reason why I'm here personally. The reason why I'm here personally is because even when people end up quitting what we do, that obviously is going to happen. You're going to have people come and you're going to have people go. They always say like, "Wow, Jifu completely changed my life. It introduced me to personal development. It introduced me to an amazing group of people. It helped me learning those skills helped me apply, this and this to my business now, and it changed my life. Thank you so much." Even to the people that left and failed and quit, unless they're just extremely negative, like they're just an extra. But 99% of the time, the people that I built good relationships with, they're like, man, that stuff completely changed my life in a positive way, and they have nothing negative to say at all. So for me, it's like I'm gonna stop thinking. There, have you guys seen that quote where it's like humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. I think that's so true. So, like I said, guys, your attitude determines your altitude. How high you go, how far you go, how fast you go in this industry is going to be a direct reflection of how you see the world, how you choose to see the world. Because every day we have a choice. We have a choice to procrastinate or to take action. We have a choice to overthink or to simplify things. We have a choice to think about ourselves or to think about the people around us. So, what are you going to choose on a day-to-day basis? At the end of the day, guys, just to generalize this entire thing, most people, this is the last one actually. Most people are just way too pessimistic. Optimistic. Most people just see the glass half empty. Is the glass half empty or is the glass half full? You're not right, you're not wrong, right? How does that one quote go? Um, whether you think you're right or you're wrong. How does it go? Someone help me out here. Whether you think you're right or you're wrong, I don't know. How does it go? You guys know what I'm talking about. Let me look it up for you guys. There you go. If you think you can or you think you can't, then, you're right either way. Same thing here. Is the glass half full or is the glass half empty? I mean, whatever you think you're in your mind, I mean, that's what it is. And so people are always thinking of the worst case scenario. What if this happens? What if that happens? Optimism is like, what if things could actually turn out better than you imagine? What if you don't just make a part-time income doing this, you make a full-time income doing this? What if you don't just impact a dozen people, but you impact hundreds of people? What if it could turn out better than you even imagine? So, guys, let's be very, very conscious of our attitude. this week, this month, this year, and make sure that every single day we're just working on. You can't control much, right? You can't control the weather, can't control the people around you, can't control the people who join, can't control the people who say yes or no or negative, or you lose a trade here or this or that happens. But the one thing you can control is your attitude. And that's the most important thing anyway. So, with that being said, guys, that is going to end the call. Our next call, our next training is going to be Sunday. Y'all already know Sunday vision call, my favorite call of the week, most important call of the week. We have some big announcements. We have a new theme for the week. We have some exciting news about some people that have leveled up recently. So I'll see you guys on Sunday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. See y'all for now. Bye, guys.